Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who put this beautiful event together in this gorgeous venue, Latina-owned cafe. So come out, keep supporting. We're so glad to be here. I just want to say quickly before we get to our amazing panel, first of all, buenos días, gracias a todos para estar aquí. But in end of 2019, a number of us who co-founded Poderistas, who work in different fields in business and politics and entertainment. We were a group of women at a summit, looking down the barrel of another presidential, general, and local elections in 2020, and seeing all the numbers of the potential inside of the Latino vote. We know all the headlines. We know what they say. The sleeping giant. They have the potential to decide elections, and yet the headlines and the narrative and the story the next day is always Latinos didn't show up, Latinos didn't come out. And we're sick of this narrative. And we're also sick of the lack of sustained dialogue with our communities. And when we think about who's coming to us, we're not different than any other community in that we need to be spoken to, we need to be asked to vote, we need to be asked to register, we need to be given all of the information that we need about the issues and how they impact us. And the question was who's coming for us? And the answer is nobody but us. We are the ones who are coming for us, to empower ourselves, to empower each other, to be able to turn that potential into real power. And we knew that was already happening. It was already happening in every city where Latinas and Latinos are present. There are incredible people on the ground organizing within our community. And so the dream for Poderistas was to gather, to empower, to encourage, to highlight, and also to find strength in community, and also to superpower our efforts to engage our communities through collaboration, through just knowing each other and who we are. And so this here is the dream come true for the 10 co-founders of Poderistas, and we couldn't thank you more for being here with us today to have this incredibly important conversation about the election that's coming up, that's going to have a disproportionate impact on our community. And to have this conversation with us today are these amazing women. First, we have Bianca Macias. She's the Deputy Director of Make the Road. A lot of Make the Road members here today, an organization that empowers the Latina community. We also have with us Aispuro from CHISPA, not to be confused with the dating app. CHISPA that works around issues of clean air and climate and local utilities, and works to build power in the Latinx community in Nevada. So thank you, Alexa, for being here. And next we have Claudia Abalos. She is Claudia. Abalos, sorry, okay. Claudia is a guest room attendant and a member of the most powerful union in Nevada, the largest group of immigrant and Latino workers, the Culinary Union. So welcome, Claudia, gracias. And then last but not least, we have Choque-Mendoza, who is our Poderistas Southwest Power Squad leader. Thank you for being here, Polly. So just to get right into the conversation, we're 38 days now, is that right? Who's got the clock, the countdown? We're 38 days away from the election. And what I'd love to start with is hearing from you, Bianca, and where you sit in your organization. I'd love to hear you talk about sort of what are the issues that you are hearing are most driving the Latino community of voters, and how is your organization, and how on the ground here in Nevada are you engaging and motivating Nevada voters, Latino voters, around those issues?
Yeah, thank you so much. So as America mentioned, my name is Bianca. I work with Make the Road Nevada with Maria and a lot of other folks that are in this space. So we are an org that has a 41,000 reach in Nevada. So we have multiple offices throughout the state, and we're doing that specifically so that we can engage voters that haven't been engaged before. So we're making sure that we're talking to folks and asking them that question: what do you need to be okay today? What is affecting you? And some of those pieces that are coming out is we're finding that, yes, it is immigration reform. Yes, it is affordable housing and climate, and we're putting policy behind it. So we do that through advocating, educating, so that our members who are here with us are able to support and really move that needle forward. We do that also through canvassing, not just through our staff canvassing, but our members. Our members go and they canvass and they knock on doors and talk to folks, whether it be a voter or a non-voter, and let them know, like, this is what's happening in our community. Do you want to join us, right? And a lot of the time they're like, yes, what do we need to do to make this happen? So it's all about that education and just meeting folks where they're at.
And what are you hearing in terms of when you ask this beautiful question that I wrote down, what do you need today to be okay? Like, what a beautiful question to ask someone and to start that conversation about engagement. What are you hearing? What are the issues that matter to Latinos in Nevada today?
So there's a lot. The first thing that I could think of is housing. So we are being priced out 100%. So more than 50% of the residents in Nevada are renters. And on top of that, they use 50% of their income to pay their rent. And if you don't have an equitable job that doesn't give you paid sick time or leave time, and you miss a day, you can't make your rent. And if you have a family, there's also the childcare costs. So that's a multifaceted issue we hear regularly. For folks who live in Las Vegas and in Reno, Nevada's home to one of the two warmest, hottest cities in the country. You always hear as well, I don't have protections because I work outside. Or it is too hot outside to walk across the street. So we hear not having enough climate support. There's economic, do they have a livable wage? So on top of not having affordable housing, we're running into folks not being paid equitably. So they get paid $11.25 sometimes, but you have a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,800, and if you do the math doesn't make sense, right? The other pieces are youth, engaging that youth component, right? So make sure that they have that information, and also, I can go on and on about everything that we're hearing. We're talking about our health as well. Yeah. Like, as women in this space, or just Latina folks in this space, that's another critical piece that's happening. They're like, a lot of the times we'll have folks say, you know what, I'll come with you, but I can't walk. I don't have money to go get the surgery that I need. So we're like, you know what, we'll help you walk. We've created this model and just listen to folks, and just we're super down to earth. And, I'm going to look at Rosario, who's been with us from day one, where we met them where they were at. So whatever need they threw our way, we tried to figure out what resource to put it with. So maybe we weren't that right resource at the time, but we created all these amazing relationships with the CHISPAs, with the Culinary, with other orgs to say, hey, listen, let me do a warm handoff and let me take you there.
I see so many of your squad is here, proudly wearing your shirts, and I'm so curious about how your members, how those who are present here are engaged, and what is the work that they personally do on behalf of Make the Road.
So it's a blend, actually. So some of them are now canvassers, and others are member leaders that are shoulder to shoulder, walking with us, canvassing with us. They're going to phone bake. They send out text messages. They help us make these amazing rally signs. They do our unity applause. Like, it really is, they do what we do. And they do it better than we do,
So beautiful. I loved how many issues you brought up, because so often the Latino community is relegated to one issue, right? All we care about is immigration. But the truth is, our community is so disproportionately impacted by climate change, by what's happening in the economy, by student debt relief. And so, Alexa, you work in climate, and that's generally not talked about as a Latino issue. But as we just heard, it's having a massive impact, particularly in a state like Nevada, where temperatures make it impossible to work outside, or your electric bill is going up. Talk to us about what you hear in the community, and what the Latino community's awareness is around the climate issue and its impact on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's related to a lot of the things that you're mentioning as well, but a lot of the things that we're hearing is the extreme heat. We have a lot of members that work outdoors, right? So this summer was truly, literally hell. Like, it was so hot, people end up at the hospital because they're getting like heat strokes and things like that. So they're being exposed to these types of situations, and like you're saying, we're living in one of the hottest states. Also, that means that we need to turn down that AC because it's hot, right? Once we get home, we're trying to shelter ourselves, we're trying to protect ourselves. But now, because these monopolies, these energy companies are making us pay really high prices just so we can hide in our homes and have like aire fresco, like be in the cold, because we're like tired of being outside. So it's just like, it's affecting our health, and it's also affecting our pockets, and it's just becoming too much to a point. Like, even yesterday, we were at the Public Utility Commission's meeting, urging the utility people to not let NV Energy hike up our rates, because our community has to be like, do I put food at the table, or do I pay my $1,000 and something energy bill? So it's just like, we're being put in these really bad situations. So, we're doing all that we can on the ground to really speak up to, if it's our elected officials, our commissioners, whoever it is that is involved and can help us make a change. We're trying to be really vocal. And also, our air quality is really, really bad here. As it was mentioned before, we have an F here in Nevada. Every year when we get graded, we always get an F, and it just sucks because our communities end up developing illnesses like asthma, or if you already have asthma, it's already going to be a dangerous situation for you because you're already exposed to this air and you can't hide from it, right? Like, we all breathe the same air. It doesn't matter where you live. Obviously, some areas are more contaminated than others. Low-income communities of color are disproportionately affected by, toxic, dirty air, and that's just been a fight that we've also been ongoing. We don't have much CHISPAs here today. It's only me, because we're actually right now at an event with the Clark County School District, where we're doing an electric school bus tour. So we're excited because those have been things that our community has been wanting to see. So that's a little bit of like the issues that has been raised by our community, things that we have been working on the ground alongside with them. And we're just seeking justice to make sure that we can live a normal life, and we don't have to be like, well, I can't buy you those school shoes because I have to pay the biles. So sorry, that's just not fair. And these people are making profit out of it while our community has to pick, what are we going to do?
And are you seeing that conversation land with Latino voters? Like, is it motivating people who might otherwise not consider going to the polls or casting their vote? Is this an issue that you're seeing move people towards engagement?
I think it is, just because we're now seeing that we can't hide away from it, and we're being affected one way or another. So I feel like at this point, a lot of the people that I've been engaging then have been kind of like iffy. It's like, you know what, we really want to make a change. If my voice is going to help drive that change, so we don't have to live in this type of situation. I think a lot of the people that I've been touching base with and connecting, they're really willing to put in their part just to fight for the bigger picture and just live a better life.
Yeah, one of the things we talk a lot about at Poderistas is sort of sustained dialogue, sustained engagement with our communities, not just showing up every 4 years to have the conversation and get people out to vote, but really staying connected to the community. What are some of the ways beyond voting and election that the community, all of us here and anyone listening and watching, like, how can we engage our communities or plug in and get engaged with year-round efforts to push back against some of what you're talking about?
No, that's a really good question. I think that beyond election, what involvement can look like is attending those meetings that I'm talking about. If your elected official representative is having some sort of event, show up and continue to speak about the issues that you care about and hold them accountable, right? Because the work doesn't end in election. You want to make sure that they're doing the work. I know that I've been in a lot of conversations with members that are like, once I, like what you were saying, like election is here and everyone's like bombarding you with like mailers and like come to this event and this and that, and then it's not election time and it's just like crickets, like where are you? So it's like, I've had conversations with people that are like, I've canvassed for X candidate and I phone back for them, and then they like kind of like, they don't connect back. So I feel like that can be hurtful, but we can't stop there. We need to continue to show up. If they don't answer that call, I'll see you at that meeting and I'll let you know right there, So, continue to show up, because at the end of the day, you're the one that knows exactly what you're going through, and don't let no one else speak for you, right? Because no one is living no one's in your exact shoes. So whether it is lobbying in the legislative session, or like if an organization invites you to lobby in Capitol Hill, be like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm trying to let them know how I'm feeling right now and what we can do, So there's other chances. Like, it's not just going out to vote. Stay civically engaged all around. There's a lot of good organizations here who do the work all around. So if y'all are not engaged yet, like, hit us up for sure after, but there's always so much to do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that sustained engagement and dialogue with our community. Claudia, you are a mother. You're a room attendant, and you're a member of the most powerful union in Nevada and the largest organization of immigrants and Latinos in Nevada. And I'm so curious, from inside of your union, what are the issues that are at top of mind for the members of your union, the people who are in your position? And also, how is this incredibly powerful union organizing and mobilizing that energy? What have you learned about how to mobilize people around the things they care about?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm really, really happy and excited to be here with you guys today. I'm very honored to be representing all of my brothers and sisters from Union 226, and I've been a suite attendant for 25 years. Don't ask me how old I am. Since I came here to Vegas, 1999. And the most issues that, like a room attendant, and I see my coworkers every day, it's our health insurance. And that's why I love my union Culinary, because we have all the benefits. We have good specialists. We have the payment that we do every month. It's really, really low, like to pay, like if you don't have a Culinary union in your hotel. And we have, like, for example, me, my oldest daughter, she's 21 years old, and I still have her in my insurance. So that's, I think it's 26 years old when you still can have them. So I'm very happy. I'm a single mother. So we need our health insurance. There's a lot of people, a lot of coworkers, like she was mentioning right now, about our health. A lot of people like me, for allergies because of the environment that we live right now. I have to take medication for sinus, for allergies. It's affecting our health a lot. So union, it's doing always the best work ever. And also we're encouraging our youngest people, because, like, for example, my daughter, she was like, no, I'm not gonna vote. I don't care, blah, 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 blah. It was her first time that she's going to vote this year. So now she's going to vote.
And what is driving her to that? Why the switch?
Because I am talking to her about all of that benefits that we have, and she's really, really motivated, and she's motivating her friends, her boyfriends, and so what I think that make her change is that all those, like, there's a lot of issues, like my partner said right now, there's a lot of issues right now, but the most important one, like for me too, that I see it every day, the groceries. When you go and you do your shopping, I remember with $100 before, many years ago, you could buy a lot of stuff. Now with $100, you can buy little stuff. So it's like, I mean, how it's gonna be, what I stop sometimes and think, how it's gonna be the future for our kids, for our grandsons. I mean, if they wanna buy a house, how they're gonna make it right now? If it's everything, how, it's gonna be like a impossible dream for them or what? And no, what I think is that we're here with a big dream. Everybody, all of us, we have a big, big dream, and it has to come true. And sometimes all of this stuff makes you feel negative, and you make those dreams like impossible to become.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. You know, you talk about your daughter. You talk about the kind of what is the world we're leaving for our children. And as a mother, I have 2 young children. I have a 4-year-old daughter. At the moment, I can't help but think about what it would be like to raise my daughter in a country where she has fewer rights than I did, to make decisions about her life and her health and her body. And so we have to talk about reproductive rights and that being on the ballot everywhere across the country. And, you know, in spite of also a kind of national narrative about Latinos and their culture and how they might view the right to reproductive rights, the reality is that 82% of Latinas, regardless of their own personal beliefs, believe that the government should not be deciding what a woman can and cannot do with her body, and that a woman should have the right to choose. So I'm deeply curious about how you all are seeing this issue impact the communities you're working with, the conversations you're having. Here in Nevada, you actually have the opportunity to go and vote yes on question 6, is it? Does everybody know about question 6? Question 6 is a state constitutional amendment that would ensure access to abortion and repro health here in Nevada. So Nevada has the right to do that, to protect itself on a state level, which is incredible, and everybody should go and vote for that. However, on a national level, there are threats and attacks on our reproductive health. And, you know, for in Latino communities, sometimes Planned Parenthood is the only resource for sexual health care for people, for women in our community. So in light of these national threats to our decision and our right to choose, how are you seeing this impact the conversation in your communities and the organizing you're doing? Polly, I'll start with you. You're talking to people all across the Southwest. How are you seeing this issue impacting the people you're talking to?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say thank you for having me here. So I am from just a little up north. I'm from Park City, Utah. So I'm really honored to be here and be a part of this. For me, I would say knowing my voice matters, knowing all of our voices matter. As a collective, we can make a difference. And I think whether it's reproductive rights, whether it's immigration, you name it, we have something to say about it. And I grew up, super in a way that I didn't have the opportunities to speak out the way that I am now. And so I encourage people to speak out. Whatever it is you feel, whatever it is you believe, know that your voice matters. One of my mantras that I say all the time is they could not take my voice, because I grew up in a high demand religion that kind of kept me from being able to speak up on certain topics, on certain things, and have rights that I deserve to have. And so knowing they could not take my voice, they cannot take your voice, they cannot take your vote. You get to vote for who you feel is best. You get to use your voice. And as a collective, I fully know we can make change happen. We are change makers. We are Latinas. We are here.
Bianca, I'd love to hear from you and the work you're doing. Is the attacks on reproductive health a conversation that is happening within the community?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have been getting it left and right. We're working with the campaign. Make the Road is actually part of the folks who went to drop off the signatures needed to make it a ballot measure. And I was like, this is incredible, and we've been doing this work from early on. So having the conversations with women about reproductive health. And what does that mean, right? Because automatically when people think about reproductive justice, what do you think about? Abortion, right? But it's not just abortion. I identify as queer and I have a 3-year-old. So for me, reproductive rights is IVF. For me is being able to have the ability to move in that direction, right? So having these conversations to educate our membership, because it is predominantly Latina folks, and say, this is what that looks like. And then through that, organically, our members started coming forward and sharing their personal stories as folks who are non-voters, who are undocumented, and how reproductive health has or has not been in their favor in the state. And through that, we started to change or engage them and engage folks in conversations where it became relatable. So that's why it's super important when we have these conversations with folks at the doors, we have our members with us, right? So we're combating that negative energy, that negative, what is it? The negative, thank you. Negative narrative, yes. That we're consistently getting, because we know, and I've said this from jump, and it's very similar to your mantra. I'm like, they will not take this from us. They will not. Like, all of us, our ancestors, the people that came before us, they've got our bags. The people that are going to come after us, like my kiddo, I am going to fight tooth and nail, and our members are going to do the same thing with us to make sure that they will not take this from us, including supporting the ballot measure.
Right. Thank you for that work. So before we open it up to questions from the audience, which I'm so excited to hear, I'd love to just hear from each of you, sort of between now and Election Day, what are the ways that we can be engaged for the everyday person who's not an organizer and waking up every day and thinking about organizing? How do we engage with the community, and what is the work that needs to get done between now and November 5th to make sure that our community's voices are heard at the ballot box, and so that we show up in the numbers that we have the potential to show up in? Anyone can start.
I can start. I think what we can do from now until Election Day when it comes to working with communities to make sure that they're showing up is for sure sharing resources and information related to when they can vote. If they need to vote somewhere in their precinct, like here you can vote anywhere as long as you can just drop off your ballot, you can go there. It doesn't have to be like right next to your house or something like that. So really trying to share that information, and specifically for us at CHISPA, we want to make sure that information is in Spanish, because our members and the community, a lot of our Latino community, there's a lot of people that speak Spanish, right? So we want to make sure that when we're creating resources of like where you can go vote, what are the days, let them know early voting, really push early voting. Like, don't wait till day off, because then you're going to be like, I'm trying to walk out of this line. Like, it's so long, you know?
Is
so
voter
it's
registration done? Is the deadline for voter registration?
You can register day of.
You can register
Till the day, so literally till the day of, you can register to vote. So exactly, like those kinds of things.
And when does early voting start?
The 16th of October, but someone can correct me, but I believe it's the 16th of October, you can already start to go vote or drop off your ballot at any location. So we're really trying to push that. Go out, vote, really pushing on the early vote so it can be easier and just faster, just because if you wait till the day of, we don't know what you can expect. So that's really something that we're focusing in right now.
Fantastic. And if people want to get engaged with what you're up to, is there a way for them to volunteer, to canvass, to get people to the polls?
We are partnering with people, so we could connect people with that. I don't think we're necessarily gonna be doing it ourselves, but we are partnering with other allies to turn people to do like poll monitoring, to make sure that there's no like voter suppression going on and things like that, because those are things that can happen a lot. So if you all do want to look into that, for sure hit me up and we can for sure connect you all so we can make it happen.
Yeah. Claudia, what's the work that your union and your organizing is doing between now and Election Day to get as many people to the polls?
Talking to the people too, especially right there at the casino. You know, a lot of people, like I told you, they didn't, a lot of, especially young people, they didn't care, they didn't want to talk about it. But, you know, just explaining them a little bit of what we know and tell them that I always tell them, es tu deber ciudadano, tienes que hacerlo, has de ejercer tu derecho. You know, it's your right to vote. You have to do it. I mean, you know, and that's what I talk every day right there at my job to all the people and encourage them that we have to vote.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Polly, what do you think is possible between now? How do we engage between now and Election Day?
Yeah, so talk to your friends, talk to your tias, talk to your abuela. I think for me, seeing a lot of my friends, older family members, people who are confused, you know, it can be confusing. You look at the instructions, what does this mean, even in English, even in Spanish? And so I think taking the time to walk through, how do you register? How do you do this? And offering to give rides. Last election, I gave rides to some of my friends who weren't able to go on their own. So offering to give rides, make it fun. Like we did, my husband and I did like a taco vote night where we like made tacos and we like, you know, did our ballots and everything. Like make it fun, have a party, you know, and I think also celebrating knowing here in this country, we do have a say, we do have a vote. And so I think that's what makes it exciting is we can do something and make it fun, make it fun.
And Bianca, lastly, what are some of the obstacles you see as getting folks to the voting booth, and what's your organization doing, and what can other people do to sort of remove some of those obstacles?
So some of the things that we're doing is we're making sure that we have Spanish speakers there. So everything that we do, we are a Spanish first organization. My Spanish has gotten so much better, let me tell you. But we make sure that one, the language that we're putting out is digestible and it's not technical, because that doesn't make sense, right? I think about my mom who doesn't speak English at all. And I often ask my mom, like, okay, if we go to the poll, what does that look like if I engage you in this way to get a better sense, or even talk to our members, like, okay, if we're gonna do this, how do we do this, right? And making sure that we tell them what their rights are if they're gonna do election protections at the poll, to make sure that there's no voter suppression. We had one of our staff's kids actually last year that really did beautifully by using that education that he overheard our members do. He was like 12 at the time. He called his mom and he's like, Mom, they're telling us we have to get out of line at 7:02. And his mom was like, no, do not get out of line. You're gonna stay in line. You're right. You have a right to be with my mom, to help her to vote. You know, so he had overheard this education. Wow. So understanding, like, if you decide to not do early vote and you like to manually vote, doing that education piece, like, you have the right to remain in line. They should provide Spanish speakers or other languages there, but we make sure that we mobilize our folks and we go in deep. Like, we will make sure to dispatch folks to different locations. We have a full like hub of folks that if we find out there's a polling location that doesn't have any support, we will transition and send folks out. It's too much to get my car. Let me Uber you there. Let me Lyft you there. Let me make sure that you have the resources there to be okay, right? And we sometimes will just flip our shirts off. We're like, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, we go to this org, but what's more important is that you have the information you need to vote, right? So we do a lot of what we call party in a box now, where we have a little party where we're like, okay, we're gonna show you how to vote, and like make it fun, but also engaging families, not just the voters, because we know, you know, our young folks, they're gonna be at voting age soon. So if we start giving them that education early, they'll understand and they'll know that them voting is going to change their life, you know. And we also talk about it a little differently. We don't just talk about presidential, we talk about things locally, like, you know, superintendent, right? Like school board trustee, what does that look like, so that it becomes more attainable and more like something that they can understand, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'd love to open it up to questions from the audience. I just want to say I love seeing all the young people here. As we heard Claudia talking about how sometimes it can be difficult to engage youth. Our voting has to become an intergenerational habit in our communities. We have to start people young. So I'm so grateful to see the young faces in the room. Are there any questions or any questions or things to offer from the room?
Here. Anybody have any questions for the panel?
There's one right back here.
Perfect.
¿Puedo hacerlo en español? Sí. No es pregunta, es más bien dos comentarios. El primero es que todas nosotras que estamos aquí sigamos luchando. No solo ahorita en las votaciones, sino sigamos más adelante y sigamos tratando de conquistar como posiciones de poder, donde nuestra voz sea más amplificada y llegue a más personas y a muchas otras que no están aquí hoy. Y el otro comentario es también acerca de las votaciones, que en este mes y estos pocos días que quedan, a lo mejor el fin de semana nos van a invitar a una fiesta, el cafecito con la amiga, pero si podemos dejar eso a un lado y mejor ir a tocar puertas, hacer llamadas, hablar con alguien sobre las votaciones, es poner un granito de arena extra que se necesita ahorita mismo. No lo dejemos para el último día, hagámoslo ahora. Gracias.
Buenos días. Me siento muy honrada de estar aquí. Yo también tengo un comentario. Yo creo que como latinas, como mujeres, como madres, tenemos la obligación de ser el pegamento de nuestras familias y nos tenemos que informar. Todas nuestra comunidad tenemos situaciones de migración porque tenemos familiares mixtos. Tenemos que entender lo que quieren hacer con Medicare, lo que quieren que hacer con Seguro Social, lo que tienen que hacer con educación, el movimiento que existe para quitarle el derecho de naturalización a los hijos nacidos en los Estados Unidos y los padres son indocumentados. Todos esos son acechos para nuestra comunidad, para nuestras familias. Todo eso nos cuestiona nuestra integridad como comunidad. Es bien importante que nos mantengamos informados de quiénes son los que en realidad representan a nuestra comunidad como políticos, los que van a hablar con nosotros y los que no nos van a oprimir como comunidad. Y es nuestra obligación y nuestro derecho de informarnos antes de votar por alguien. Eso es mi contribución.
Hi, so my name is Nereida and I'm a member leader of Make the Road Nevada. Just a question, how do you think we can keep the momentum going even after election to hold our politicians accountable?
The question was, how do we keep going after the election to hold our elected officials accountable, which is an incredible question. I'm going to let the experts answer that question. It's exactly what we've all been saying here is none of these issues go away when a certain candidate wins or when an election is over. It's daily for our communities and for everybody. So for all of you who work inside day to day inside the organization, when the election is over, what happens next? What do you do with your communities? How do you engage? And how do we all plug into that?
So I will say for me, housing is a huge crisis, I think, across the country. And showing up to the city-county meetings and the county meetings are so huge. Sometimes I'm there by myself. And like I said, I'm in a city where there's a lot of wealthy people, and I'm a normal person, a normal working person. And so a lot of times at these meetings, they'll say, well, you say that there's a problem, but where's your people? They literally have said that to me. Where are the people that you're claiming are having this huge housing crisis? And so I will say, show up, hold them accountable by speaking out at these meetings, especially because it's like my friend here was saying, it's not just about the national, it's your local elections that really make a huge difference. So go to those meetings, bring people with you. The numbers you have matters. You matter as an individual, but also having more people there with you. They will see, here's this community, here's who they're talking about, who needs our help. So I would say go to those meetings and speak at the meetings.
Anyone else want to speak to that?
I can add to it. Definitely +1 to what you're sharing. I know obviously there's also going to be times where you're like, I can't show up all the time, or, life gets in the way, and obviously, things happen. An email never hurts. A call never hurts. You can always send an email if you can't make it. You can always do the call to your representatives. I know there's been times where I give a call and they send me the voicemail and I'm in voicemail like, oh yeah, I'm Alexa, your constituent. I want to let you know about X, Y, and Z. Da 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 da. So even if you can't literally physically show up in that space, email, call it, tell your friend, be like, hey, I can't make it, but you should go. You know what I mean? So there's always gonna be those opportunities, and just don't let them pass, because then once things get bad, you're gonna be like, oh my God, but what? And then it's like, well, we could have done this, or you could have hit up your girlfriends and they could have pulled through for you or something like that. So always trying to be aware. And again, we're just one person. We're in school or whatever the situation is, and we can't make it to all. So just try your best. But yeah, that's what I would share.
Any more questions on this side of the room? Christy has one.
Well, before Christy asks her question, the one contribution I have to that is that for me, I think so much of this work is about showing up in community. Nobody can do it alone. And it's disheartening to be on your own. And we're not on our own. There's so many people out there doing the work. So you're already part of a community, but finding even just your one friend who wants to spend her Saturday canvassing and building that relationship. I know for me, when I get tired, when I get down, it's my friends who call me up and they are like, nah, girl, you're going to Nevada. Let's go. And so that is like building that sense of community and that you're in it with people, especially at your age, it makes all the difference. Because at the end of the day, we're here for each other. We're here because of the love that we have for the people in our lives. And so find community to do it inside of.
Alrighty.
I'm really loud, so I'm not going to use the mic. For the recording, yes.
Oh, it's a pretend. Hi, okay. Okay, so I have a question for some of the young people in the room. So 1 out of every 5 Latino voters in Nevada was not eligible 4 years ago. That's because you all are turning 18, and that's where all of the growth is coming. And I know that like a lot of our parents' generation, maybe they weren't voters or they couldn't vote. And I'm just curious, like, are you talking about it in high school? Are you talking about it with your friends? Are you talking about it in college? Like, how do we begin to think about making this part of our culture? That when we turn 18, just the way we do a quince, just the way we do all these other things that we celebrate, how do we celebrate the new power you have? And is it being discussed by young people in that way?
So basically, we do talk about like politics and stuff, and I have like classes, and like we talked about stuff in history last year, and like.
Do you talk about it with your friends?
Yeah, like in class and stuff, and like who we're gonna vote for, but like we can't really vote now. So.
That's good though. You're talking about it.
Yeah. Can I add a quick little bit for her? So she's actually our member leader's daughter, and she sits on our political committee. So she has, when her voice doesn't align or her values don't align with some of the pieces that we're doing, she makes sure to like speak up on it, but she sits on one of the coolest pieces. I just want to give you kudos because that's one of the pieces that you contribute.
Voy a agregar algo. Mi nombre es Elizabeth Ortiz. Soy miembro y líder de Make the Road Nevada. Tengo un hijo que acaba de cumplir 21 años. En la cultura latina, como que me voy a enfatizar en mi familia. Casi no me involucraron en la política. Cómo saber, cómo elegir aquel candidato correcto con los valores que la cultura latina tiene y quiere. Entonces, a través de Make That Road Nevada, me involucré y así mismo contagié a mi hijo para que fuera a votar. Decía, ¿por qué es importante votar? ¿Por qué me estás hablando de eso? Entonces, a través de todas las conferencias, de todas las reuniones que teníamos con Make the Road, lo enseñé y a elegir la persona correcta para tener un candidato correcto, una persona con los valores que a nosotros nos identifican. De esa manera contagié a mi hijo y dice, mamá, ya me registré para votar. Y yo, oh my God, la importancia de educar, de enseñar a nuestros hijos, de seguir liderando como comunidad latina. Así que gracias.
Yeah, so I guess to piggyback off that question and like engaging young voters or the youth, I'm in college right now and I've done research projects on how we can engage the youth, and it starts from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And I think having that aspect of civic engagement in our schools is crucial so young kids can grow up understanding their civic duties as a citizen. And I think we need to be doing more of that, especially here in CCSD. That's I graduated from CCSD, but only if you take specific like AP Government or AP History, are you really engaging in politics? And I feel like all the other children that don't take those classes don't get the opportunity. So we really need to attend those meetings with CCSD and push more of that civic engagement onto our students.
We have time for maybe one more question. Permiso, un momento. Thank you. Thank you guys for the opportunity for us to be here. I'm part of the LULAC chapter here in Nevada. And one of the questions that I have is for rural Nevada. I'm from Moapa Valley, which is like northeast of Las Vegas before you get to St. George, Park City, Utah. So if you've been to Valley of Fire, that's like our backyard. So my question is, there's a huge Latino population out there. It's actually one of the first Latinos that immigrated to Nevada. That community is almost lost because there's not a lot of resources out there for them. So I just want to know on election day, are there going to be, Latino helpers that can help them, including Bunkerville, Mesquite, you have Laughlin. There's a lot of Latinos out there. And I think rural Nevada is not represented when sorry, I don't know why I'm shaking. When we call our local officials for certain things like fixing the roads, getting emergency services, having, fire department that's full-time, not just volunteers, because by the time, you need something, that person could be already far too gone by the time medics arrive. So, this is the time and the opportunity to ask our local officials, hey, we're over here too. It's not just Vegas and Reno, so just, I just want to know, are there going to be representatives helping those folks to get to the polls?
I can start that if that's all right. So I actually was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and my family immigrated to northern Nevada to a small border town called Wendover. Current population is 5,000. And I am, when it comes to talking about rural spaces in Nevada and in Utah, I get very excited, but I'm also like, okay, I'm excited. What are we going to do? Right? So it was my goal this year to really implement a rural organizer, to hire organizers within these spaces. And I actually don't even like it when people call it the rules a little bit, maybe because I was born there, because you're not like, oh, I'm going to rural Wendover. You just say, I'm going to Wendover, right? So we should definitely connect because we have folks that are being dispatched throughout the state as we speak and are door knocking. So right now, we have folks in Elko County that encompasses, right, that Wendover space. We have folks that are going up to Winnemucca. We have folks that are hitting up, what is it? It's the Pahrump and then going upwards, So we have a map of what that's going to look like. It's not going to be fully fledged because it's the first time we're doing it. And we're not just doing it in any space. We're doing it in a space that is not welcoming at all. So I'm happy to figure out ways that we can continue doing that work. if you're down to have the convo, I'm here for it. So yeah.
I think part of what that underscores is our need to amplify people and to turn people from within communities into leaders. That this is really what we're doing here on some level, and that level just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper in places that we can't reach, or if we do reach, we don't know what the issues are there. And so how do we empower people from within to become leaders in their own communities, which is exactly what everybody in this room is doing. And I think that's precisely the conversation. All politics are local, all engagement is local, all mobilization is local. And so we need to amplify what's working, the best practices, what is impactful, and try to get that out to as many communities as we possibly can who we know are being forgotten or being left out of the conversation. So now is a time that we set aside for some conversation amongst everybody. I know lots of people are sitting next to people they know, so I think we should play some like musical chairs. Like you should get up, walk around, find another place to sit next to somebody you don't know, and have a conversation. Do we have those conversation starters? I mean, I'm sure you can think of a conversation yourself, but if not, there are conversation prompts on some of these postcards here, and have a conversation about what your plan is in the next 38 days. How are you going to mobilize? What is maybe something that was brought up today that made you think of something you weren't thinking about before, or you want to get more specific about? And then we're for like 10, 15 minutes, and then we're gonna bring it back to a group conversation and wrap it up. But I want to say thank you to our panelists. For being here, but mostly for the incredible work that you do every single day. We are here to amplify your voices, to resource you, to connect you, so that your incredible work is even more impactful. So thank you so much for being with us here today. And so now I turn it to you all to find new groups to have conversations in.